Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Daniel. I am the co-lead of the journey this semester together with Anna. She's also here on the chat. We are very happy to have you here, and we want to tell you a little bit what is Techlabs about and how to join the next semester. And we hope that everybody that is here today join us next semester. All right, so what we're going to talk about tonight. First of all, a little bit about Techlabs Berlin. I think lots of you don't know what it is about, and I think it's important to kind of understand where we come from and what is our mission. Then, of course, talk a little bit about the program, the program overview, and also about the tracks that we offer in the program. Then information about the application, how to apply, and what we need from you. And then questions and answers. There were a lot of questions sent already in the type form. We will try to answer most of them. And then, of course, we're going to open the mic to whoever has questions. Just in the end, we're going to answer all of them, hopefully. All right. So about us, what is Techlabs Berlin? So Techlabs, as an organization, has a mission, and its mission is to provide young people with a platform that enables them to acquire state-of-the-art tech skills in order to solve the problems of our time, both entrepreneurially and digitally. What does that mean? There was a study conducted in 2019 by the Bertelsmann Stiftung, and it showed that there is a lot of people who have no idea what algorithms are. And there is also a lot of fear and a lot of suspicion about them and about the usage of algorithms nowadays. We all have, for example, fresh in our minds, the Cambridge Analytica case, which managed to influence so much of our opinions and actions. And also we start to see how the future can be very scary when algorithms and the tech is used for nefarious purposes. And so in Techlabs, we want to give people a little bit of the power to use tech for good. There are lots of examples out there of tech being used for good purposes, be it by helping in our climate crisis, or by tackling poverty problems, or what is super in vogue nowadays in healthcare, or to aid our society in general. There's a lot of good that can be done by tech. And from that idea is that Techlabs was born. Techlabs was born with this dream of a world of no digital illiterate. So a world full of technically savvy people who face the challenge of our time with digital and entrepreneurial mindset. So we are here in Berlin, but Techlabs is not only Berlin. Techlabs is a global organization with 16 locations and hundreds of volunteers in each one of these locations. It started in Münster, but it quickly expanded to a lot of places. We have the global Techlabs, which is encompassing the whole organization. We also have the program of Techlabs at home. And as you can see, we are striving to become this global movement, this global phenomenon, and we are trying to reach as many people as possible to push our mission forward. Techlabs Berlin is one of our locations. It started back in 2019 and then we had a very successful initial summer term. Then we quickly moved on to organize the winter term 2021, which just finished. This is a picture of our organization team back then. I think that because of COVID times, this was basically the only time that our management team managed to meet together in person. These are like small beginnings. This is not the whole team, but back then when we were organizing the winter term 2021, we were meeting in October last semester. Then we finished the semester and now we are much bigger. This is also not everybody, but this is one of the pictures that we had in our last meeting. We are about 30 volunteers in the management team in Berlin, distributed in different departments. We have marketing, HR, partnerships, events, workshops, and 15 of those, more or less, they are directly related to Journey. They are people who are actually preparing the semester for the students to come. We are different backgrounds, different ages, different nationalities, and everybody is just donating their time in order to bring the best semester for you, which we call techies. All right, so how does it work? So Techlabs tries to offer this young people access of one of the best technology-focused continuing education programs in Germany. And also already hundreds of young technology enthusiasts have already been selected and completed our blended learning program, not only in Berlin, but all over in these locations. So the idea of Techlabs is based in three parts. So we have the local community, which is composed of a Slack channel in which we have talks, hackathons, socials. We also promote workshops from our business partners and also workshops promoted by the tech management team. And this is a very engaged community. It's a very lively environment. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of sharing. There's a lot of helping each other in this community. And it's a community that is, I would say, is the core of our program. Together with that, we have, of course, the whole learning part, which is online learning. We have online courses with individual personalized learning paths, which we call the Techlabs Academy. And then we have project work, which is when you're actually going to implement what you learn in the learning phase into your own project. So we encourage the students to come up with their own ideas, which are then presented and then selected, and we distribute the teams. And these teams are supported by very experienced mentors in order to be able to develop their project work. We're going to get into more detail about these phases a bit later. And all of that composes what we call the Digital Shaper program of Techlabs. So we have 4 tracks in offer nowadays. So in all of these 4 tracks, they're offered for free. So we have data science, where you're going to learn how to explore raw data in order to gain very useful insights with the help of tools such as machine learning algorithms and data analysis tools. We also have AI, where you're going to learn about deep neural networks and also machine learning and how to solve large and complex programs using reinforcement learning systems. Then we have web development, where you're going to learn about software development. You're going to learn how to develop apps and prototype websites, and user experience design, UX design, where you're going to learn how to concept a design tailored to customer needs. So basically, that's kind of the 4 tracks that we offer. On top of the tracks, with the community, we offer events. Initially, Techlabs is an offline program. Unfortunately, because of COVID, we managed to move everything online, but we try to keep the same format of the events that we would have offline. So we have lightning talks, where we invite people to give a seminar about specific topics throughout the semester. We have workshops where we actually work in specific skills to try to teach the techies the best skills that they would need to face their project and their learning phase. And then we also have the social events, where we actually get the community engaged with each other, also to create connections and to get people to interact and to really create a sense of community, of learning together and being in this together. So these are the 3 kind of types of events that we promote throughout the whole semester. And of course, again, COVID-19, all meetings and events will be online this semester, as it was in the past semester. In the summer semester, we managed to do, meaning 2 semesters ago, we managed to do 1 offline event, which was the last event of the season. But last semester was impossible because of all the lockdowns. We will try to stick with our meeting format, so all the social, the workshops, etc. And we were going to be sure that you're never going to feel that you're left online alone in your room. So we're always going to be engaged with the whole community. We're also looking for the possibility of offering smaller social events. Let's see how it develops. We cannot promise anything. The idea is to get people to meet in real life, but we'll see how it goes. And we will provide, of course, much more information as the semester progresses. So this is kind of in a nutshell what Techlabs is about and what the program is about. So now we're going to go a little bit more into detail and really do a little bit of a deep dive on how the whole semester is structured. And I'll pass the word to Anna. She will take over for now.
Hey, can you just flip the slide? Okay, exactly. So after the acceptance, when you got your acceptance email, the next day starts our first orientation week. In this week, basically what's happening is we will be onboarding you on different platforms and tools, and there will be several forms you will need to fill out, like registration form and your track personalization form. After that, when that official kind of formalities are done, the academy phase is starting, and the academy phase basically is 8 weeks long. And Daniel already mentioned there will be a lot of different workshops, lightning talks, and events, like social events also happening. But this is basically like a self-learning academy, like a self-learning phase where you will have to invest a certain amount of time and a certain amount of hours every week, but with really continuous support from the track leads and the mentors to kind of guide you through. And after the academy phase, there comes the project phase, which is also 8 weeks. This is really like a hands-on phase where you, together with like other team members from other tracks, you kind of form a group, you form a team, and together you build a final project. So after 8 weeks, when you successfully finish your project and you successfully finish your learning phase, basically you will be getting a digital shaper certificate. This, however, doesn't have to be the end of the journey. You also have to you have opportunities to join the Techlabs alumni community, or you could become one of the volunteers. You could join the Techlabs management team, and also you could maybe decide to choose another track. So if you're, for example, if you're a data scientist, maybe you decide to go for artificial intelligence, or from UX to web development, or other way around. To go a bit more in details for the actually upcoming semester. So today we have the info session, then tomorrow already the application phase starts. It's going to be for 2 weeks and until 7th of March. So from 8th of March until 15, actually in between of these two phases, we have a selection week where we will sort all the applications, and basically on 14th, which is Sunday, we will send out the emails with acceptance who is in the program. After that, the onboarding week, which I mentioned earlier, will start. So like I said, it's a week for onboarding on all the tools, accounts, registration. And what happens here is also very important, that at the end, if you fail to successfully register and send out your track personalization form, there will be kind of a cutoff. So like students who do not submit this will be removed from the program. Because for us, if you if you do not submit your track personalization form, you cannot start your journey, and we kind of take this as a sign that you are not interested in continuing. So this is the first cutoff. The second phase after that is the hatching phase. This is basically like a little 2 weeks trial where we are also trying to see if you can cope with online learning, if you if you find your way through this program. What we basically are requiring is that you finish 10 hours of learning in the first 2 weeks. So 10 hours is actually something that it's possible to do in 1 week, and that you will somehow have to go towards. But we know that the first 2 weeks are very overwhelming and you are still finding your way around. That's why we'll be asking for 10 hours in the first 2 weeks. And again, if you will not be able to kind of fulfill this, there will be a second circle, like a second stage of removing also the students from the program. It is super important actually just to mention that if there is any reason why you are falling behind, even things can happen, you can, I don't know, end up in the hospital or something, it's super important that you always come to us before the cutoff and share your situation with us so that we can like make a decision if you can stay in the program regardless. It is really not wanted to come to us after the cutoff, because then it's not really possible to bring you back in the program. But anyway, so students who successfully finish the hatching phase, they will enter finally in the academy phase, and in the whole, you are already basically in the hatching phase, you're of course already learning, but the academy phase then lasts until 16th of May, and this is just full of learning, workshops, hands-on talks, and so on. But at the end of the academy phase, very important is that students need to choose their projects. So there will be several events where we will present the project. Well, actually, students will present their projects, and then everyone needs to choose which projects they want to work on. And whoever doesn't choose a project cannot continue, because you cannot be in the project phase without a project to work on. So this is a third step where we are removing the people from the program. And then finally, when you have your project, you enter the project phase, you have a team of about 8 to 10, more or less, other students. You have a mentor who is supporting you, 1 or 2 mentors, and they're guiding you through this phase. And finally, when that is over, this semester, concretely on 11th of July, you will have like a final presentations and present your hard work. And of course, as I mentioned before, after that, you can either go towards next track or join the Techlabs management or become alumni. So just to recap, what is necessary to get your digital shaper certificate? You will need to finish your project successfully and finish your learning track successfully.
So now I realize that putting this image here with two naked people is a bit weird, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the projects that were developed last semester. The semester that just finished, I think 1 week ago, I think we had the final presentations. So this is one of the projects that was developed. It's called Am I an Emergency? It was developed by these people who are here, which were students. Here you can see the tracks that each one of them were in. This was an amazing project in which they created a web application in which you could go and you could tell your symptoms that you're feeling to figure out if you actually needed to go to a hospital straight away, if that is supposed to be an emergency or not. There was a lot of work in terms of data collection and data parsing, together with a little bit of artificial intelligence in the mix, and a lot of UX considerations, etc. So the whole thing is online. You can actually visit this. The link I will send you, I'll post later. But amazing project that is working and that is actually quite useful. Another project that was really, really interesting is one called Flip the Script, in which the team is a bit smaller, but the project is also it's as powerful as the previous one, in which you can flip texts and sources that you can go from they try to raise the awareness for how biased is the gender considerations in our texts nowadays. So you can actually flip a text that is using mostly male pronouns to female or to neutral pronouns, and that's a tool that they created that you can actually do that, and it highlights and it shows you lots of statistics about the text that you're reading, and it's really exciting project that has a lot of potential. Another one that this team did is you can see is also a lot of a bigger team as well, which is helping you to figure out how to recycle your trash in Berlin. So it's an application in which you could see which are the recycling stations closer to you. We could also figure out, okay, if I have this where should I put my trash and how things are working. So it's a whole website that kind of guides you through the whole process. So these are just 3 projects that we picked here. There were many other projects. There were 10 projects in total. There was one which was giving you guidance about traveling in the age of Corona. There was one which dealt with the migration issues and how to connect people through sharing of images and how to use image recognition in order to kind of create this network of images related to immigrant experiences in Germany. There was also one which was finding partners to go to do sports events together. So if you want to do sports, it's almost like a Tinder for sports, let's say. There was also one which collected all the Berlin arts and cultural events in one directory. Another one which dealt with it's called interactive diary, in which you could write down your thoughts and have analysis on top of your thoughts, and how that can be reinterpreted and help out with your life. There was also another one also dealing with the COVID times. It's almost like kind of a meetup for right now, that you could actually meet other people around you for an event within the next 30 minutes. Quite an interesting and fun project. And all of these projects, you can actually look at them on YouTube. We have the whole video for the final presentation there, where the students, each of the groups presented their projects. You just go on YouTube, search for Techlabs Berlin, and you're definitely going to find it, the final event. You can check it out. All the projects are there. So there's just some examples of stuff that the students that came into the course knowing nothing about tech, nothing about web development, or any of the other tracks, and managed to create these super exciting and working prototypes that are ready to be put into their portfolios.
Okay, and then just shortly again a bit alumni program. So after finishing the projects, the benefits of the alumni program are that you will actually stay in touch with all the other students, not just from the Berlin, but also from other locations. This program will basically give you connections and access to different alumni events, workshops, and training opportunities, and as well as some career advices. And for us, it's very beneficial because you basically know, in a way, you are our partner, or like your future companies could become our partner. You are our, in a way, also ambassador, because you can always share your experience with your friends. And in a way, every student who successfully finished this program is also basically a role model and consultant for our future techies. And then just before we actually go to describing a bit more about the tracks and details, just to kind of recap what it takes to complete the program. So it is also basically there were some questions if any kind of previous coding experience is needed. So our programs are actually made for complete beginners. So you will not need any previous coding knowledge to join the Techlabs. This is the only exception is basically the AI track, where still there is certain amount of knowledge you should know about the data science, coding with Python and similar. The next important thing is like the time commitment. So it is very important that you actually dedicate enough time for the track. We would advise you around 10 hours per week. And of course, there are some students who did a bit less, and then of course students who did more, but 10 hours definitely you should keep in mind as something you should dedicate every week. And of course, it's also important that you attend all the important community events, workshops that we will have. We will always mention if there is a mandatory workshop or not, but the more you attend, the better. And of course, the engagement in the community, if you can help your teammates in the Slack channels, and would be awesome.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the tracks. We have 4 tracks. We have development, UX, data science, and AI. Each one of these tracks, they are led by what we call a track lead, which is 1 or 2 people who are all the time following the students and kind of helping the students, doing office hours, promoting workshops, sharing links, and just being there in order to support the students in their tracks. And a little bit about each one of these tracks. So data science, let me start with the data science. So data science is the art of understanding complex data, right? So data science is composed of 3, let's say 3 big parts. So first you have this supervised learn, so machine learn, where you learn about like kind of classification, regression, and you also learn about unsupervised learning, where it's clustering of data. And then together with that, you have a lot of programming. So you learn a lot of, in our program, we learn a lot of Python. You learn how to use Python libraries in order to work with data import and data exploration and visualization. We also a lot of data cleaning and data preparation, and also data modeling. Then finally, data science requires a lot of your own expertise, your own industry expertise. So knowledge of business management, of healthcare, of economics, of biology, psychology, you name it. All of this together, when you put it together, that's kind of the data science view that you could say so. So data science has many applications. For example, when you talk about data science in e-commerce, where you can use it to identify customers, to do product recommendation, to do review analysis, or manufacturing, where you can use data science to predict potential problems within the manufacturing chain, or monitor all the systems and automatically detect anomalies in your manufacturing process. Banking has a lot of applications of data science. So you can use data science for fraud detection, for credit risk modeling, for customer lifetime value. Healthcare, of course, that's one of the main ones nowadays, in which you can use data science for, let's say, medical imaging analysis or drug discovery, bioinformatics, virtual assistance within healthcare. When you go to transport, self-driving cars, car monitoring system, passenger safety improvements, etc. That's all based on data. Finance is also another big area. For example, you can talk about customer segmentation, strategic decision making, or algorithm trading. That's all part of how data science can be applied in each one of these areas. So it's quite, let's say, a required profession nowadays, data scientists, and this is just the beginning of what it can do with that. So it's quite an exciting field, I would say. When it comes to AI, artificial intelligence, that's when you actually experience machine learning and have the applications of that in practice. So artificial intelligence, you have the learning part where you're actually going to learn about machine learning, about practical deep learning, and then algorithms theory. And then we're going to talk about the use cases. So you have, let's say, image recognition or natural language processing, content creating. And you can see that artificial intelligence is being used by so many companies in different areas in order to kind of come up with new business models and new ideas to apply to their own business models. The way that we are going the artificial intelligence is introduced in the program is that first you're going to do a little bit of Python and machine learning recap. So you're going to figure out what do you need for practical deep learning. There's going to be a lot of Python basics, NumPy, Matplotlib. You're going to learn about supervised and unsupervised learning, and also about deep learning. Then you're going to do a little bit of practical deep learning. That's the question of how do I train neural networks. Then you're going to go through all of these topics in order to understand how to actually do that in practice. And then in the end, a little bit of algorithm theory. So we're gonna try to make you understand how do neural networks work. So talking about regularization, dropout, activations, backpropagations, and so forth. So this is kind of the content of the course. And of course, as you know, artificial intelligence has so many applications, countless. One of them, which most people are familiar with, is object detection and image recognitions. Then you can talk about neural style transfer, in which you kind of get a picture, and by using the learnings from another style of image, you kind of almost transfer this style to the picture that it took before. Nowadays, we've been probably reading a lot about GPT, which is the generative pre-training. This is an image GPT, which is taking a small section of an image and being able to complete this image just by the learnings that it had previously. Or in text, for example, generative text that you basically get a prompt, and then the computer, based on the learnings from everything that it was fed, it kind of creates a pretty good text afterwards that kind of makes us question which one is actually done by a human, which one is actually done by a computer. So it's quite exciting. There's a lot of applications, and it's becoming more and more present in our lives nowadays. Web development, when you actually learn how to develop websites and apps, that's a big field and very popular as well. And I think that once you know web development, you basically have the power to basically create things that you come up with. So web development, it's two parts. You have the tools that you learn. You learn about HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and Node. That's kind of the standard tools that we have here. And then, of course, the two basic components of web development, front end and back ends. Both of them are going to be part of the program as well. So to be a web developer, you could definitely focus on either front end or back end. You could choose that during the track personalization part, but these two parts are actually essential for you to have an understanding in order to practice web development. So web development is basically the development of digital products, of things that you come up with and you want to create digitally. There's the thing about front end and back end. This is a picture that I love, which is how front end is basically the part that we see, is actually the presentation layer of an application. That's kind of what you interact with. Everything that you're using on the web is front end, you as a user. This is done by a mixture of HTML, CSS, and there's a lot of JavaScript with React, Vue, or whatever framework you want to put in that basically that allows you to have this reactivity, this interactivity with the pages. And then the back end, which here you see by this kind of ugly tentacles, is the part that you don't see, is what kind of makes the website work, is the data access layer. And that is implemented by using a big number of technologies. So Node.js is a big one. databases like MongoDB or PostgreSQL, and backend frameworks like Express and others. So this is kind of how every website that you go online is composed by these two elements. And of course, web development is not only websites. That you can nowadays develop web apps or develop apps, native apps using web development web technologies. Like for example, React Native allows you to create a native iOS or Android app with the same code base that you use to create a website. Or for example, the use of Electrum. Every time you use Slack or Skype or VS Code or Figma, you're using a web development, a web app, which is wrapped by a desktop interface. Or even when you go a little bit out of the web or out of the front end, and you look at, for example, some drone systems are actually powered by Node.js or JavaScript, basically. So it's everywhere, and you can do pretty much anything. All right, UX experience design. No, user experience design, UX design, which is our last one, is where you try to create positive experience for the users. We all know the tale of the remote control, in which by trying to put so many functions in one device, you end up creating so much confusion for the user, when you actually should have a much simpler device with only the things that the user actually needs and actually uses, and that would make our life so much better. So that's kind of the frame or the frame of mind of a UX designer. They try to come up with solutions that are very specific for a problem and for the user. So they try to develop products that ensure optimal user experience. So from purchase to disposal. So it's not only about websites, how you use it, but actually it's products in general. You have to really understand who is the target user, who are you building the thing for. You want to understand his problems or their problems and how they can be solved and how to approach them in the best way possible. And then you ensure that the whole system that you're building actually meets the requirements. So it's all the combination of technical constraints with the user needs and the business goals. So this is kind of how you compose the field of UX. And by tackling each one of these fields together, and that is kind of, you create prototypes, you create interactions, you create the experience that the user is going to have with your product. So basically, it's UX is very important because you need to have empathy with the user of your products. You need to understand them in a way that basically you kind of create exactly what they need. And UX is not only relevant for software, UX is also for physical products and for many other applications. Is basically a framework, a mindset. And basically, a product with good UX can basically make a product much more valuable. If you look, for example, at, I know it's a cliche, but talk about Apple iPhone products. The fact that the user experience is so polished make it such a desirable product. And it's also great feeling that you make a technology accessible for somebody, for your target user. And that's the 4 tracks that we can come up in more detail later if you have more questions about that. All right, so next step, how to apply. And I think that's you, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
So first a bit about the upcoming dates one more time. So the application open already tomorrow. The deadline is 7th of March. After that, we have a week of selection. And after the acceptance, the kickoff event, the first event, that's going to be on Tuesday 16 in the evening. It's the event where we will again share some insights on how to onboard tools and so on. And then 22nd of March is the official start of Academy phase. So which information do we require in the application form? We will actually ask you some basic personal info like name, email, gender, age. After that, there is a section about your educational background. So your highest degree that you hold or in which institution and so on. What is your current occupation? So if you are working full-time, part-time, or maybe unemployed, or if you are a student or in the internship and so on. We will ask you questions about your previous online learning experience. Maybe, for example, if you are like a former techie or if you finished any other online course already so far. And then a very like the most important section in this whole application is your motivations. So we will have several questions that will actually aim to figure out your motivation to join Techlabs and what you can actually bring into Techlabs as a person, as an individual. And then the final section is checking your availability. As you know, like we are all online at the moment, but at some point, hopefully we will go also in the offline, so in the in-person events. So it is very important to know for us how available you are to be in Berlin during this semester. And then, so what is super important? So tomorrow the application starts. So we invite all of you to tomorrow morning when you wake up and grab your coffee or tea or any other preferred beverage, you visit our techlabs.org and go to click on the apply now in the corner up there. You will actually be transferred like to application page. There you will need to select Germany from all the countries, wait a bit until it loads, and you will then be able to select Berlin and fill out the application form. Yep. Okay, and then in the registration that you there were several questions you had. So one of the questions was maybe more in detail how the semester will look like. This is a very simplified version. So on the left there are the weeks of the Techlabs. Not all of them are mentioned. You can see that like number 4 or 6 are missing, and it's basically because in those weeks there is no like a special requirement or anything to do, so I left them out. So the first week is the important week where all the onboarding is happening, and the important date to remember is 19th of March, where you need to be registered until then, otherwise we are removing you from the program. After that, the second week and the third, all the like magenta color is the hatching phase. So another important thing to keep in mind. And if you do not pass the hatching phase, then on 6th of April, you will be again removed from the program. All the blue, like the Tuesday blue colors, are actually basically the events that we will hold. So every Tuesday evening there will be an event, which will be either a lightning talk or a social event or a workshop. There will be a detailed schedule for that. After that, what is like super important is like the week 5. So at the end of the week 5, we will kind of check if you are already at the 50% of your track. This is not a cutoff moment. It is just really for us to kind of, we will try to stream you towards having already 50% of your track done by then. If we notice that somebody is falling behind, we'll try to engage with you and figure out how you can catch up. The same actually is happening at the end of the week 7. We are checking if you have approximately 75% of your track done. And in this week, there is also another very important thing is also that's a week when you will have to register for a project. And so whoever doesn't register for a project on the beginning of week 8, so 10th of May, there is this third cutoff that we remove the students without the project selection. In this week, I would just say this is like a provisory calendar. Some dates could change, and of course you will all be notified on time. But for now, we are planning to have a workshop weekend at the end of the week 8. Last semester, we had a very nice schedule, fully packed with very interesting workshop, and we will try to do the same and better this semester. And it's a good like intro into the project phase that starts in week 9. So in that day, we also like the first day of project phase, we are also checking if you are already closer to 80%. Now this is very important. So it's very important that you try to reach at least 80% of your track by then. If you reach 100, it's even better. But less than 80 is really not kind of nice. It's not like in a way wanted, because first of all, if you don't have at least 80%, it will be very difficult for you to follow the project phase. The skills you will need for the project phase will be missing. And secondly, it's also really not fair towards the remaining of the teammates you will be in the team with if you are the one who is kind of always lagging behind and cannot follow up and contribute to the team. And then I left out all the weeks until the final weeks, because the project phase is really just focused. You're like having your project, you're working on it, you have mentors, you have your like weekly mentor check-ins and so on. But the final week, finally, when everything is done, you will have your final presentation on 8th of July. And then you will have a few more days to deliver everything else. So all your like GitHub repos, the descriptions and blog posts and so on. There is like a list of kind of requirements that we need for you to fulfill to finish this course. So 11th of July is the final thing for you to do.
All right. And keep in mind that all of this, the cutoffs and the checks, they are based on feedback from our techies. So every semester we try to get as much feedback as possible from the people who are in the program. And this semester, one of the main feedbacks is that people wanted us to be a bit more proactive in guiding them at which level they should be at each week within the learning, because people tended to get a little bit lost. So this is our try in order to do that, to really say push people to really be within a certain percentage of the tracks in each week, so that they kind of follow through in a much easier fashion. So this is something that came up this semester as well.
Exactly, and I would just add for the cutoffs and for all the important dates, all the important deadlines, you will basically be notified in 4 different ways that there is a deadline coming up. You will be notified in a Slack message, you will be notified via email, via a Google Calendar that we will actually give you to import, where all the important events and deadlines are listed. And as well, we actually, the central place for you to go always is something a website we have, and it's called Techlabs Radar. This is like a collection of all the important dates, registration forms, steps to do. So you will have 4 different ways to be notified that there is a deadline coming up, that there is something expected from you to do, and failing to really do something after being notified 4 times really is removal from the program. Yeah.
All right, so how does what about the content? I think that's also a question that most of you had in the registration form. Basically, when we talk about track personalization, what we do, we have a type form for each one of the tracks, so that you're going to receive as soon as you're accepted in the program, in which you tell us a little bit about your experience, or what do you want to learn, or what kind of things that you think that would be better. So here, for example, I have some examples of questions that we want to know. For example, if you have experience with Python. So if you have experience with Python, there's some learning materials which will be different than if you have 0 experience with Python in the data science course, for example, and so on and so forth. So each course has a set of questions that allows us to define which content in your track is going to be applied to you. So that's the first step. You fill out this form, and then you get the track personalization. And then we use a platform which is called Educated. That's a platform that you're going to have access to in the onboarding phase, in which after you complete the track personalization form, you get your learning path. So this case here, for example, here I have one learning path, web development 1. And then by following through this learning path, so this is an example of how it looks like. You're going to have a series of lessons that you're going to have to follow one by one. And then you can see your learning progress, your hours that you're learning. So you can really keep track of how you go through all the content. And the content is pulled together from many sources and put for you in a very logical way that you can follow one after the other and complete the whole track. So where is the content coming from? I think that's something that you're also asking. So we are not there. Techlabs is not something that we're going to have classes. We're not going to give you classes. It's a self-learning, self-paced online learning program. So each track has sources from many different locations. For example, data science, we are using a lot of course material from DataCamp, from Harvard CS50, from Coursera. We have also our own prepared notebooks and exercises that we do for you within your learning track. There's also material that we pull from YouTube. So we try to get the best quality material out there and put it together in a logical order for you to follow. AI, there's a lot of stuff from Fast AI. There is some stuff from Coursera as well. Again, notebooks that we prepare in Notion. There is material from academic lectures and also stuff from YouTube. Web development, we follow a very wide range course from Udemy, as well intertwined with like material from the CS50 as well as prepared notebooks and YouTube material as well. And then UX, we have a Coursera course that together with the prepared Notion notebooks and also material from YouTube. So all of this stuff kind of, it's, let's say, curated for you for your personalized learning track. And the idea is that, let me just go back one. The idea is that it's basically you learning by yourself, but the idea is that we have the community behind it. So you're never really learning by yourself. You're learning with others, and there is always, in each one of the tracks, you have a track lead, 1 or 2 track leads, which are always there to answer questions, to prepare workshops, to kind of really be there for you when you have any difficulties and really kind of push you forward within your track. So you're learning from this, but at the same time, you're learning much more from the community and from your peers. All right, so then we have these questions that we got from your application. So we try to get most of them. Maybe we're gonna miss some, and then you can ask us afterwards. But basically, we're just gonna go through each one of them. So the first one is, can I enroll in 2 courses or more at the same time? The answer is no. We ask you to only enroll to 1 course at a time, because it's not feasible to do 2 courses at the same time. You're gonna have to invest not only a lot of time, but during the project phase, we try to create project teams which have interdisciplinary arrangement of students. And you cannot be the one that is doing, I don't know, web development and UX design at the same time. So it doesn't really work like that. So basically the idea is that you do 1 course and you specialize in 1 track. You can always, the semester after, you can always do another track if you want.
Exactly. And then I have zero tech background. Can I still join? Yes, of course. Actually, our program is definitely meant for the beginners, except the AI, as we mentioned already earlier. So we very much encourage all the beginners to join the Techlabs.
Yes, all the classes online. Yes, all the classes are online. When we say that Techlabs is supposed to be offline or in person, is mostly related to the event. So the idea originally is that all the events are offline, but the learning is always online. So this, because of COVID, we have to do everything online. So yes, everything is online.
Okay, what are your partner companies? So our main sponsor is Microsoft. We are still exploring all the ways how Microsoft can support Techlabs, but this is our main partner.
So how large are the project teams? It depends. It really depends. You saw in the projects that I showed, there was a project that had 9 people, and there was another project that was 4 people. So it really depends on the scope of the project and the amount of students we have at a time and what tracks is needed in each project. So that really varies from project to project. But we try to have at least between, let's say, 8 to 10. Sometimes, as you saw, it gets lower than that. 8 to 10, and we try to make it as interdisciplinary as possible. So having multiple people from all the tracks within the same project.
Okay, how many people in average participated in previous batches? So in our first semester a year ago, we had around 60, and the last semester we had around 120. So we will kind of go towards the same number this semester as well.
How many people in each track? So less, like the most popular tracks are usually web development, UX, and data science. We had around between 30 and 40 in each. Then AI, because of all the requirements, because it's much more specific, we had about 10 people in the last semester.
What are the backgrounds of the mentors and track leads? So they're basically all young professionals who are working in the field or actively participating in other areas of from the tracks they are supporting.
So you offer in-person events? Yes, already answered that. We will hopefully do, but cannot promise. Let's see how things progress.
Okay, is it really free, and how? So Techlabs in general, it's a free, so we are all volunteers. So the Techlabs is completely run by volunteers who are donating their free time to make this experience for the students. Besides Techlabs, we all have our full-time jobs or full-time studies. However, the course material, some of the course material is a paid material. For example, a Udemy course can cost 10 or 12 euros, and there is a data camp who actually has a kind of monthly membership kind of model. So these are the costs that are usually paid by the students. So for a data camp, it's usually around it's 30 euros per month. However, the Techlabs has a refund policy. So for students who cannot afford this cost, so this like 10 to 12 euros for Udemy course or 30 euro per month for data camp, we have a way to support you. So you would have to approach us and tell us your reasons and like talk to us. And then we have a way to, because we really do not want that some kind of financial disadvantage or something like that stops you from joining the Techlabs. However, there is also just to mention that we cover for the data camp, we only refund 2 months of data camp membership. This is basically the whole academy phase. So it is possible to finish the data camp in 2 months, and this is how much we can also refund back. If you would like to then continue with data camp for the 3rd, 4th, or any other month of the membership, it's going to be paid by you. There is also for the data camp though, there is an option. Data camp offers a free data camp courses to all the students. So if you are a student, you can join the data camp for free. So those materials will also be free for you.
Yeah. And how valuable is this certificate when applying for jobs? Techlabs is an entry-level program, so we accept beginners from all areas. It's an introductory course, so the idea is to leave you with a paved path and a project for your future portfolio. So we kind of show you the way, and your readiness for the market will only depend on your own effort. So basically, there's people who leave Techlabs and get a job straight away afterwards, and there's people who need more time and need more effort and more projects, etc. So we do offer the guidance. We this semester we're planning to offer also workshops on applying for jobs, preparing portfolios, etc. We always have companies that come for the lightning talks, and we always have them aware of the program as well. So the certificate is only as valuable as you are willing to put the effort into that. And yeah, that's the questions that we collected from the type form. If your question is not here, it's probably because you registered either today afternoon, and then we didn't have time to put that in. So that's why right now we want to open for other questions that you might have, and we want to thank you for listening. So if you have any questions, either you write on the chat or you just start talking. I think that we are not that many people.
Hey guys, I will just start. So first of all, thanks a lot for the introduction. I'm curious about the UX design course. I was wondering, do you also offer some knowledge about UI design, or is this in any way a part of this track as well?
Yes, the idea is you will notice that during the project phase, UX is mostly focused on UX. UX is the main focus, but during the project phase, you will end up also participating in the design of the UI as well. And I think there's also a little bit of content on that in the course, but the focus 100%, let's say 95% is the UX part, and UI is kind of just what supports that.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else?
There is a question in the chat. So Matthias asked, is there a maximum number of participants for each track?
No, I would say not. I think that we will try to keep within 120, let's say 140 maximum people, depending on the quality of the applications, but there's not really a cap, right? I don't know.
No, there is not really a cap. I mean, as you mentioned before, for the AI track, we usually get only around 10 students. It's a bit of a smaller track, and every other track is around 35 to 40 students.
All right, Kevin, which part of the application is the most important? How to improve chances of acceptance? I think I would say motivation is the most important. I think that you have to really because it's a lot of people apply. I think last semester we had over 300 people or almost 400 people applying. So it's really important for you to show us what do you want to do with Techlabs and why you're joining. So really work on that. Anything? What else, Anna? Do you think that there's another?
No, this is actually when I was showing that part, I would actually kind of mention it. So the motivation is the most important. There will be several questions about your motivation, and the more info you give us, the more like you write there and like the show us what you can bring to Techlabs and why would this course benefit you and so on. It's really like the most important part of the application. And I would say the second important is the availability. How available are you to actually during the semester to participate in our events, in all the workshops and so on. So there will be also a list of dates where we want to see, are you in Berlin or not, for example, and so on. So that's the most important.
What level of Python is required to join the AI track? I think it's supposed to be good, like good level of Python. That's why we would prefer that you do the data science course prior to joining the AI. Of course, if you already have experience with data science and a proven record, and you can already understand the principles of data science, you're more than welcome to apply for the AI track. But the idea is that you should understand data science and should have a certain level of proficiency with data science before joining the AI track. Welcome, Emma. So anyone else?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for the great presentation. During the final presentation, is it possible to see all the projects, or are you going to see only your track?
No, you see all of them, yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, check the video on YouTube. You can see how the final presentation looks like.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure if the format is going to be exactly the same, but we had, for example, all the 10 groups presenting. Each one had 5 minutes to present their project and what they learned and etc. And then we had 1 or 2 questions afterwards from all the other students. And we also invite people from outside to join the final presentation as well. This last semester we had about, I don't know, 140 people watching the final presentations.
Oh, cool.
And it's all of them together.
So were there some projects that were further developed, like later on?
We hope so. That was also questions that we had that we usually ask, like, so what is the next step? What do you plan to do with that? And some people, they do want to take the projects further. It was last week, so we don't know how things moved since last week. So let's see how it goes. But hopefully, yes. Right? And
Cool.
I think there were some amazing projects that should definitely continue.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, Max just posted the link to the final presentation on the chat if you want to check.
Hi. Like everyone else mentioned, thank you again for the presentation. It's really nice. I was wondering, some of the events like that were mentioned that might be mandatory. Would these events would usually take around normal working hours or in the evening, or can we log in later to re-watch them? It's just in case there are those who like work or are studying at the moment.
Yes, so all our events will be on Tuesdays. They start at 7:30 in the evening, and they're usually for about hour and a half, like maximum 2 hours, and that's in very rare occasions. And some of them are recorded, so it depends on what is it about. If it's just like a social event, it's not going to be recorded, but if it's like a lightning talk, if it's some kind of workshop and so on, we usually do record those meetings. And also we always, as I mentioned before, there is like this Techlabs Radar website, which is like a central place for all the students to go to. So we usually always post all the recordings and slides there, so you will always be able to find and go through.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. So Kevin, how many participants drop out, if any? Yes, there are dropouts. I think that's nature of offering a free course, that there is not, I would say there's not the same commitment as if you're paying thousands of euros for that, which is very unfortunate for us because we do put a lot of effort on that. There is, I think there was this semester, there were about, I would say 40% dropout, and for different reasons. There were people who were dropping out in the first week, not registering, for example. There were people who were dropping out during the academy phase because they couldn't follow up with the course. They couldn't follow with all the required hours. Let's say the 10 hours of the hatching phase. There were people who decided not to join a project after the academy phase. There were also people, because of personal reasons, that they decided to drop out during the project phase as well. So it's really very varied, the amount of reasons and the reasons why they drop out. Yeah, but the people who stay, you can talk to them. You see that they are they stayed and they are very happy about it. Also, there is like this semester we had six people from the course, 6 students that actually wanted to join Techlabs afterwards. So you're probably going to meet them in the rooms in the Slack channel, because they're going to help out to organize events and organize the tracks, etc. So it's quite the community that forms around it is it's quite exciting as well.
Okay. Any other question, maybe?
More questions? Welcome, Kevin. Thank you for the presentation. So if I understood, oh,
can I?
It's okay. Go first.
No, I was actually reading the question, but okay, I'll just read the question and then you guys go. 1 second. So thank you for the presentation. So if you understood correctly, there will be no traditional lectures. We will have regular video hangouts with the mentors, like weekly one-on-ones, or the communication will be mainly on Slack. Yes, there is something that we did this semester that worked quite well, which is the let's say office hours, in which the track leads or the track leads during the academy phase, they will be available for the students once or twice a week, so that they can come in, ask questions, etc. All the track leads there all the time on Slack for anything that you need as well. But the video hangouts and the one-to-ones can happen also in each track according to how the track lead organizes the track. So for sure that happens. And during the project phase, there is definitely a weekly one-on-one with the mentors. That's kind of requirement, probably even more meetings with the mentors during the project phase. Cool. All right, next, Dimitri.
Yep, I have basically probably one of the important questions, like Luca earlier already asked it. I want to say it a little bit in more generalized way. Is there some syllabus available with all detailed topics for every track? Because as I see, there is some way of personalization, but it would be great to see what is actually available.
We don't have that as a list, because actually the thing is that each track, for example, web development, we have I think 8 or 7 tracks that, depending on how you personalize the track, it's assembled in a different way. So it's really, we really don't have a kind of like a list of all the topics that you learn in each one of the tracks. I think that's something that we don't have. I'm not sure, Max, do we have that? I don't think we have that listed anywhere, because it's too many variations, I think.
No, we also change the curriculum kind of bit every semester, so it's kind of hard to keep a list up to date. It's a good idea, let's keep it in mind, but for now we can't offer anything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hika, you wanted to ask something, or?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just want to ask if if I do the data science track, for example, would I have enough base to do the AI afterwards, for example?
Yes, and maybe Max, can you talk a little bit about the data science accelerator?
What was the question again? Sorry.
If after completing the data science course, would you have enough in order to join the AI course?
Yes, definitely. So we actually advertise this heavily with our data science students that if they want to do the AI track, they will be 100% accepted after doing the data science track in the AI track. We also do have a little short program for the semester break for the data science students, where we sort of boost the skills in order to get them a bit better in Python and stuff. But it's, I mean, once you've done the data science track, we will tell you, once you're doing the data science track, we will tell you a bit more about that.
All right, thank you.
Welcome. All right, anyone else? let's call for questions. If not, then I would say thank you so much for your participation and thank you so much for coming. I hope that all of you apply tomorrow when you wake up. We will upload this video on YouTube tonight and post the link as well on the data form. Thank you, Matthias. And oh, can I get into the DS track if I can get into the, yes, the idea is that the DS doesn't have any requirements, while the AI track has requirements. Yeah, okay. So let's wrap it up. For the AI track, do you still get some Python refreshes? Yes, you do. In the beginning, there is a little bit of Python refreshing, but you're supposed to, it's not the biggest part of that. Well, welcome. Okay. All right, no more questions. If you have questions, you can shoot an email to berlin@techlabs.org. We will be happy to answer that. Otherwise, just go on tomorrow, apply, and we will happily receive your application. And I think that during the week of 8 to 14, you'll hear from us, hopefully with a positive answer. And we'll be very happy to have you there. We are every semester trying to improve Techlabs, and with your help and with your participation, is going to be every time better. All right, thank you so much, and have a good night, good rest of this beautiful Sunday, and I see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Daniel, can you stop the recording?
I will stop the recording. How do I stop?